A few months ago, I have made a video about my journey from Turkey to Germany as a doctor. If you are interested in to learn more about this process, you can watch it. I have that time recorded that video in German, but I have put English and Turkish subtitles. This video I've decided to record it in English because after that video I had the feedback that I should have done it in English or Turkish to help more people to be able to help better. I thought the subtitles would be sufficient, and for me to record it in German was easier because there are many specific terms in that process that I can't really find an exact translation in English or Turkish. And in this video, it might also still be that I use the German terms. I will explain it, but just for the record. My first reason is flexibility for work. To explain it better, I should compare the residency system in Turkey and in Germany. So in Turkey, after we have graduated, if we want to get into a residency program, we should take an exam. It's done twice a year. It's really competitive, so I guess thousands of doctors taking this exam. And so we have to compete with each other, and the more points you get, the more chance you have to get into residency program that you want to. You don't really know in which residency program you will get in at the end, and also you don't know in which city. I mean, you still make a wish list, but you don't know at the end. It might be that you don't match into any residency program. To pass this exam, one should invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of willpower to learn for the exam. And at the end, let's say you match into a residency program, but after a few years you realize that you don't really like it, then it's also not so easy to change it. Then you have to start over again. You have to take the exam again and try to match into another residency program. In Germany, it's so when you have graduated, you get your Approbation, also the approval that you can work as a doctor, and then there is not really an exam to get into a residency program. You should just find an open job position in the residency program that you would like to work in. And when you are accepted, then you just start in your residency. There are advantages and disadvantages. It's good in Germany, then you don't have to take an exam each time. If you want to change that, it gives you the flexibility to change residency programs. It was the most important point for me because after I've graduated, I didn't really know what I want to do. And in Turkey, it would be difficult to change in different programs. So here, after I get my license to work as a doctor, I have found a job in the child and adolescent psychiatry, and I have worked there about 1.5 years. But during this time, I have realized that it's not really what I want to do in the long term. And at the end, I could change my residency program. So I had to look for another job position. It's also not so, it's easier compared to Turkey, but of course you also have to look for the open job position to change your job, and you have to present yourself and you have to get acceptance for that program. But it is still kind of easy. At least it gives me more flexibility to change the program, to change the job if I'm not happy with the thing I do. That's the best point that I have to work in Germany. Of course, it's also some areas in Germany, some residency programs are more competitive, as I have heard. Some like pediatrics, for example, is competitive. The kind of residency programs that you can open your own clinic at the end of the residency are more competitive, as I have understood. If you are not sure what you want to do, then I find the system in Germany better because it gives you the option to try out different things. My second reason is the flexibility for traveling. After I settled down in Germany, so I have my residency permit, and it allows me to also to travel in Europe without any restriction. And I love traveling, and if I stay in Turkey, then I should each time apply for a visa for the country that I want to visit. I mean, there are also countries that I don't require, that doesn't require a visa, but most of the European countries, at least, they require a visa, and it's a bit tedious to get a visa. So you have to you don't have the flexibility to travel just after a week. So you have to plan everything ahead. You have to book your flights maybe months ago. You have to book your hotel. Then you have to apply for the visa, and at the end it might be that you get rejected and everything was for nothing. But now I live in Germany. I have my residency permit, so I can, at least in Europe, I can travel as I wish. I can just book a flight for the next week, and I can travel. I can plan my travel more spontaneously. That would not be so possible if I have lived in Turkey. The third reason is the security and the stability. I find that in Germany I don't have to worry about the basic stuffs that we need to live. I feel secure. I mean, there might also be dangerous cities and dangerous part of the cities that one should avoid. But in general, I find Germany really secure. At least where I live, I feel myself really secure. I don't have the existential fears. I don't have the fear that I would starve to death if I lose my job, for example, the very next day. There is a social security system. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think for example, in USA, you have to have a lot of money to get a good quality standard of life. In Germany, you don't have to have a lot of money to get your basic needs to live. The grocery is cheaper, and the prices are much more stable compared to Turkey, for example. I mean, in Turkey right now, a product that you buy today might have a higher price tomorrow. In Germany, there's also inflation, but compared to Turkey, it's much more stable, and the money has more purchasing power compared to Turkey. In Germany, people pay a lot of taxes, and sometimes they complain about it, but I find it good because it also gives you the social security for all the people. If someone doesn't have a job, then they have at least the basic needs compensated by the social helps. I find this ensuring quite comforting, that I don't have to worry about how I would get by if I lose my job. At least I would have some security until I find a new job. I hope I could explain it well, but basically that's what I mean with security and stability. The fourth reason is the distance to Turkey. Again, compared to, for example, USA, the flights from Germany to Turkey is much shorter and much more affordable, and probably also due to the Turkish popularity here, it's much more convenient to find a flight ticket to Turkey. So if I have to go to Turkey because of an emergency, for example, it's much more easy to find a way to go back compared to other countries. The fifth reason is also the Turkish culture. So there's a big Turkish population here. It helps with homesickness. Of course, I miss my family and my friends, but I don't miss, for example, Turkish food a lot because I have the possibility to find a Turkish restaurant easily. There are many Turkish supermarkets, so if I want to find a local product that I can't find in German supermarkets, for example, I can find them in Turkish supermarkets. At first, one thinks it's not so important, but if you are planning to live abroad for a long term, there are always some small things that you miss or you wish you would have had. And those kind of things are much more easy to find in Germany due to the Turkish population here. So those were the 5 reasons why I have chosen Germany to work as a doctor. In my other video, there was also some commentary that have said the Switzerland would have been a better choice to work because doctors earn more money there. I mean, it's true, they earn better, and if you have the priority for money, I agree that Germany is not the best option. In other countries, doctors earn much more money. In Germany, you can check there are it's called Tarifvertrag, so you can get an idea how much a doctor would earn. Doctors here in Germany, they earn well, but they are not super rich unless they have maybe a private clinic as a plastic surgery, etc. But it was not my priority to be super rich and to have a super luxury lifestyle. For me, it was more important to have that kind of flexibility and the security, and Germany provides me this right now. And also I want to mention that, so for German doctors, it's much easier to find a job in Switzerland because they don't have to worry about visa and their license is accepted, as far as I know, in Switzerland. But for me, in my case, I also need a visa. I need a work permission. I have to probably also have to take an exam in Switzerland. Back at time, as I was in Turkey, I've never thought about Switzerland as an option, but I think it would also not be so easy for me to settle down in Switzerland. It's not that they wait for me and they just say, come work here. That's also why, I mean, in Germany it was also not so easy, but at least now I have achieved it and I'm happy with where I am. So I don't see a reason right now that I would regret that I haven't applied in Switzerland or in another country, for example. So it's a personal choice. You should think about it yourself. What are your priorities? What you wish for yourself, and decide according to that. Thank you for watching and see you next time.